Lady Diana Spencer, a brief astrological portrait by Ciro Discepolo. How could we understand the very life of Lady Diana if we set aside the consideration that she was fundamentally a Libra? Indeed, according to a classical reading of her birth chart, we would have to explore the planet Diana Spencer in the light of a sun sign like Cancer, and one would be tempted to paraphrase the ultra-famous motto of Antonio di Pietro. What does that have to do with it? In fact, the sign of Cancer, when compared to this life, has absolutely nothing to do with it. Let us try instead to read this a truly unique destiny based on a precise framework, that of very powerful Libra values, specifically a sun in the seventh causes. What do we derive from this? In your opinion, which literary example comes closest to it? Exactly that. Flaubert's Madame Bovary. If you imagine the 19th century heroine from Flaubert's remarkable pen, considered by some the novel par excellence, I believe you will have no doubt in finding an even exceptional similarity. Who could deny, in fact, that there was an overflowing amount of Bovaryism in Diana? It is worth then spending a few words on this. According to many interpreting the matter in a completely reductive way, it could be summarized by stating that the subject was simply a loose woman. But we would certainly sin from a lack of sensitivity, and even more, from ignorance in psychological matters. In Flaubert's evocative novel, I believe we all fell a little in love with the sweet Emma, who dreamed of social parties, elegant clothes, romantic glances, and secret notes. Instead, her fate gave her a country doctor, a homebody, and a lazy man, who spent his days mostly sitting in an armchair reading the newspaper, convinced that such a serene life corresponded to his wife's own ideals. Indeed, only when faced with his wife's terrible agony did his eyes slightly open. Emma Bovary, under lifelong house arrest, using only her humanity, took advantage, this was her fault, of those few men who passed like comets through their country house. She realized that feeling of romanticism that made her heart beat in the only way she could, by betraying her husband as much as possible. But was she thirsty for sex? Certainly not. What then? Then Bovaryism, which takes its name from this creature, both virtual and real at the same time, is nothing other than the embodiment of an archetype that has as its central reference point an almost pathological need to relate to the outside world, to create human relationships, to fill address books to the brim, and to cultivate a social life made even of small flirtatious things. All of this was Emma Bovary, and Lady Diana was exactly the same. In my opinion, Prince Charles's blatant infidelity has nothing to do with our heroine's numerous betrayals. She would have done exactly everything she did, every time she had the chance, even if Prince Charles had been the most faithful, the most passionate, and the most romantic of husbands. I repeat, however, at the risk of being annoying, that, in my opinion, Lady Diana's Bovaryism is not to be condemned, but to be understood, if we also add the very sensual Venus in Taurus in the fifth case, which forms angular aspects with almost everything else in the radix chart. Then what more do we need to understand the planet Diana Spencer? Much has been written about the alleged assassination that supposedly killed her. This is possible, again due to the natal position of the sun in the seventh case, very often linked to assassinations, but regardless of whether it was an assassination or not, the violent death is entirely inscribed in that deadly eighth case. The other numerous elements of her birth chart are easily readable by means of any good astrology manual. excerpted from the book L'interpretazione del tema natale by Ciro Discepolo,